Hi, I'm Mike Stein. Today we're looking at a saddle that was on a customer's horse. We shot a little video. The horse had developed some spots, rub spots on his back from the saddle. When you're working on saddles, you're not trying to make them into a baseball as far as the amount of flocking. I've trained, as far as my saddle training, with Ramosa Saddlery, Ray Morris of New Zealand. I would flock my own saddles. I don't sell myself as a saddle fitter or a saddle flocker. But with the amount of bulges we had in this saddle, I told the lady I would try to soften it up some until a proper saddle fitter got there. But this side I've worked on. Pretty clean lines. Here there are bulges. Hole there, bulge, another dip. And when you looked at the lumps on the horse's back, and you got filling down what kind of a transition you've got here and another bulge. Now when you're doing this, also flex your saddle in and out, because I don't have the horse with me, and the horse is going to spread this a little bit as it goes on, and that's going to make a difference to what that panel feels like. And it's not a bad time, to do a little maintenance and cleaning on the saddle. But I want a good smooth line. I want it supple. I don't want to, you're not trying to make a baseball. If you don't think these little lumps in here make a difference, throw a bunch of tennis balls up under your mattress at night and see how you sleep between the mattress and your box springs. The saddle does have a nice big gullet. In the back of the gullet, I got easy 3 fingers plus a little bit. So I got a big wide gullet. But we've just got some lumps in here, had lumps on both sides. And, I've been given permission to do a little work. I do not bill for this. This is just try to help out the situation temporarily till we get somebody there that can deal with this. But what I want to do is pull a little bit of the flocking. We've got an access hole here, and on the other side of the saddle there are 3 access holes. On this side I'm finding, actually there's the 3rd one right there. There's one in the middle that's been, looks like somebody probably stabbed the saddle. But you can go in, it's like your little knitting end. Go in with it turned up, find under your hard spot, and you're going up between the flocking and the tree. You don't want to get down in the bottom of it. And but you can fill the end of the tool. Got a little notch in there, and we can pull a little bit out. At a time, just a little pinch, that's all you want to move. You start taking big wads out, you make big holes. And you're just trying to smooth out the saddle and make it a happy place for the horse to be. But you could sit here and strip every bit of flocking out of a saddle if you want, and it would take you a while with a tool like this. There's ways to do it if you're going to completely reflock the saddle. I've got a definite bulge here, so I'm going to fish in there. I fill my tool, turn it, hook it, just take a little bit of flocking out. Doesn't want to come, but we are shifting it, if nothing else. There we go. Just a pinch, that's all she needs. We've softened up that area. It's not as much like a baseball as it was. And this is a homemade palm mallet, piece of heavy dowel rod and some plywood. But you can, you know, just fluffing it up some afterwards. You may not have to move that much around as far as going into the inside the saddle. I prefer to try to fluff it out and get a little bit of air in it. And you can kind of maneuver some of this around and even it out with your palm mallet. Reach your hand down. You felt that just a minute ago, right?
Yeah.
We're not perfect, but it's getting closer, right?
Yeah, much smoother.
You felt this side, correct?
Yes.
Run your hand over it. Nice clean lines.
Yeah.
And I'm not a saddle fitter. I just trained with one. But I'm not trying to sell myself as a saddle fitter. Normally, I would never go down this road with a customer saddle. I hope they have availability to find a good saddle fitter. And I'm not going to tell them don't get a saddle fitter, because that's the first thing they need to do when they get a chance and opportunity, is have somebody come in and check this thing out that fits a lot of saddles. And I'm saving that bit of wool, and put your nice mat down under the saddle, keep from scarring it up on your tack room floor or wherever you might end up working, because you don't want to beat the leather up on a saddle. Just move. All I'm doing is shifting what's in there a little bit. I'm trying to really take it out at this point. You can go in behind it and push it out off the tree a little bit. You're flocking, and get some air behind it. Sometimes all you really need to do is fluff up the saddle and fluff up your come over here, shove it out, shove it out, shove it out, shove it out, pull it back, shove it, push it, push it, push it out, push it out, push it out, push it out. So that's going to loosen it up where it can be moved a little easier. Back here, I don't think that feels too bad, especially in here. And just since we did that last little bit of moving around, feel that again. What do you feel? You still feeling a knot?
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
Okay. For that front part, what was that feeling to you?
Feels good.
Nice, smooth, even. Got a little cush to it now. It's not hard. You're not trying to make a baseball. You're trying to make a pillow. Okay, feel that. Remember where your knot was and what it felt like. Smoothed out more, right?
That's better.
Okay, and that wasn't about shoving stuff in and out. It's just fluffing it out, getting some of your wool to puff up a little bit in there, you might say. And right there's a spot we need to work on. When you're doing this, you gotta learn to see with your hands. See with your hands. Just like when you're touching the horse, learn to see with your hands. Now, this doesn't have any weight to it. Some of them do have a little weight to the mallets. Okay. Feel that. About gone, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm just going to do a little bit more, and we're going to see if this horse is happier. After the saddle became in this condition, the horse started ducking its back out, and the horse a little weak in the stifles, so it's definitely showing up in the stifles because as it dropped the back, pushed the pelvis out from under the horse, and puts the back into a weak position. So anytime you got stifles, you got horse too heavy on the front end, every time you're shoving the horse down in the middle, you're pushing the pelvis out from under the horse, throws them on the forehand. For the pelvis to come under the horse and get off the forehand and start to lift, open up the shoulders, the middle of the horse has to come up. So every time you're biting them, you're shoving them down. You get them happy, they can come up. And you got to build that strong back, and you got to work your saddle around the strong back. Because if it's not, it's very hard for me to do my job and get the horse to carry itself, because he's got to have the hind end under him to carry himself. So if you're using a saddle fitter, get somebody skilled, get somebody with a good record out there of working on saddles, and keep these guys happy. And anytime you're trapping a horse's back down, it's gonna start showing up with some problems. And that's why when we're rehabbing horses, we get the tack off of them, do what we need to do as far as mechanics of the feet. You know, if I've got one here, he goes out, he works through things before we even start trying to put any muscle on the horse. But we give him a chance to get out and be a little bit of a horse for a while and work through some things, and then we can start from there. And we build backs on horses without people and without tack on them. And there are a few exercise tricks to that, but you can turn a horse around in 6 months. That way, 9 months, a year, have a really strong horse where if you're not breaking the routine of what you're doing, and we're doing the same thing harder, and doing the same thing harder, and doing the same thing harder to get where we want to go, we may have a broken horse. So it's worth backing off, rethinking, regrouping, give your horse a chance to regroup, and make sure everything is happy. When you've got a horse that's been really brought back to work strength-wise, there is a good chance your tack will not fit him and will have to be readdressed. With Western saddles, you got to have the right tree on the horse, and you work with your padding. On English saddles, hopefully you've got one that's got flocking in it. Some of them do have foam, some of them have air panels, and a few other arrangements, but there's not as much you can do with them as far as getting your horse's back straightened out and happier. So that's all I'm going to do with it. Like I say, I'm not selling myself as a saddle fitter, but even where we had that, touch that area again where we had that, and that was, how hard was that knot before?
Very hard.
Okay, now that's much softer.
Yeah.
And a horse can work with that. And we'll see if this horse can be a little bit happier. Thank you. Have a good one.